Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it is currently 12:39 a.m. Early on Friday morning. And it is very warm and muggy outside in Indianapolis. And I just laid down for about 45 minutes. Do you hear the plane overhead? I love the sound of planes flying over, and I don't really see them during the day or hear them, but at night they fly right over. I don't know if you can see this or not, but let me see if you can see it. It's like flying like right overhead. And the really interesting thing is that I'm not really anywhere near the airport. I mean, we're probably, not that we would have to be, but we're probably a 45-minute to an hour drive from the, probably 45 minutes to the airport. So, but they consistently fly overhead at night, which is interesting. So I didn't even sleep until my alarm went off. I set an alarm so I would get up because I wanted to vlog and I wanted to watch an episode of First Kill. I might watch 2 episodes because I have 2 episodes left until I have finished the first season of it. Well, that's if it gets renewed. I think it'll get renewed. It seems to be pretty big on Netflix right now. So I hope it gets renewed. I like watching it. But anyway, Alex and I tonight, we were going to go out to dinner with Melissa and Jason. But I was waiting for my vlog to upload, which just got done doing everything it needed to do. So I just posted it. And so I was like, can we just stay in and watch some TV and heat up our leftovers? So we heated up our leftover Thai food from last night. And then we watched The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And then we watched the season finale of X on the Beach. And then he watched Watch What Happens Live. That had 2 comedians on there. I heard Andy Cohen say 2 of the funniest gay comedians. It was 2 guys. One of them was one of the main characters on that show. I'm gonna have to take my hat off because you guys can't. Oh, look at my hair, it looks horrible. On that movie Fire Island, that's on Hulu. Alex and I just watched that. The movie's really cute. It's adorable. I think I talked about it on here. Another plane. So many planes. It's 2 so far. 2 in 2 minutes. And then while he was doing that, I came upstairs and laid down because I was like, I am gonna lay down for like 45 minutes before I do all this. But I don't want to stay up too late tonight because Caroline and I are hanging out all day tomorrow, my cousin Caroline and I. And we're gonna go to the pool and she's gonna take me around to run some errands. When she first comes and gets me, I don't really have tons of errands to run tomorrow because I got most of them done today when I was with Alex's best friend Sarah, and I just don't really have that many errands to run, period. So Caroline's gonna get me at 11:30, and then we're gonna probably go to Starbucks and then just like 1 or 2 places that I need to go real quick, and we'll probably be back here by like 12:30. And then we always go to Starbucks. She likes her refreshers now. Speaking of refreshers, I just bought these today at Trader Joe's, and they're sparkling juice beverages, and this one is pineapple. The only thing about them is that they're 60 calories because there's real fruit in it, like juice and pieces and stuff. Now, I have never had these before, so you guys, this is like a mini review over here. Let's try it. I love anything pineapple flavor because it kind of reminds me of pina colada flavored stuff, you know, that you get like when you're on vacation and whatnot. Oh, it smells really good. Okay. Oh, that's delicious. Oh, that is so good. It's like a pineapple soda. Oh, it's like so refreshing too, speaking of refreshers. It's so refreshing. Oh, this is a fun little drink to have out here. They come in these little boxes of 4. I will tell you the ingredients in the back of here. Contains 55% juice, Ingredients: pineapple juice, water, carbon dioxide, citric acid, ascorbic acid to maintain color. Instructions for enjoyment. Sip, repeat. Made with pineapple juice and plenty of bubbles, Trader Joe's sparkling pineapple juice beverage sips like a sweet pineapple daydream on a sparkling tropical day. It is crisp, refreshing, and one taste transports you to a sunny vacation. Yeah. So they're really cute, aren't they? Anyway. How do I turn this off? Okay. So got that, and yeah, now I'm sitting out here with you guys. I actually just put my laundry from the washer into the dryer. So that was the other thing that I did, because I had a bunch of like t-shirts and shorts and sweat shorts and stuff like that to put in there. I got my shorty pajamas today in the mail, both pairs. I ordered 2 pairs online. They are so adorable, you guys. I will wear one of them to film like a nighttime vlog, because, and I'll show you guys what they look like. They're so cute. I haven't tried them on yet. They're still in the plastic wrapper. So many people have asked me, like, what do you mean when you're talking about like shorty pajamas? My mom just always called them shorty pajamas. They're just short. They're just pajamas, like men's pajamas, you know, like with the shirt and the plastic buttons and whatever. Like, I was trying to tell Sarah this today, and she was like, do you mean like a onesie? I was like, no, girl, not a onesie. And she was like, yeah. She was like, because Sarah had gone to Pride Day with her other 2 friends that Alex was supposed to go to with, and she was like, yeah, I saw this guy, and he was like in a like short pajama, like one-piece thing with all of it hanging out. I go, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I said, they're classy, they're cute. Like, one of my pair, like, I think are one plaid. It's the third plain. I think they're both like plaid, and one is like a black or gray plaid, dark gray plaid, and the other one is a blue plaid. And they're really cute. But they're just short, so like where the shirt would be long for like men's cotton pajamas, they're like cut short right here. And then they have like a little collar thing on them and like plastic buttons. And then the shorts come to like a little bit below the knee. And they're just short pajamas. And I used to wear them when I was a kid. Like, my mom would always get them for me when I was a kid. Somebody on here commented that you can get them like at JCPenney's and Kohl's and things like that. So I don't know, I love them. But I do remember, like, as a kid, you know, after I would be like, we stayed outside as kids, like, I mean, not this late, obviously, but we would stay out till, like, after dark. And in Indiana, it stays out dark till, like, 8 or 9. I feel like there was always, like, parents outside. So it wasn't like it was just us kids out there alone. But we would stay outside till, like, 8 or 9 growing up. And I really don't. I don't remember exactly what time it was, obviously, but I can remember, like, you know, our parents would come out on, at least, like, you know, like 1 or 2 parents would come out and call somebody home, and so we would all go home because there was no reason to stay out anymore. I mean, I can see, like, because we lived on a cul-de-sac. So the cul-de-sac that I lived on, there were, like, 3 main houses, and my house was one of them. And then there were woods that were behind our houses. They were pretty dense woods. I mean, they went back pretty far. And I can't believe there's this many planes tonight. Yeah, they went back pretty far. It was a really fun neighborhood to grow up in. But I can see my mom, like, standing, like, coming out on the doorstep and standing there and be like, Peter, time to come inside. Like, she didn't do that every night, but I can remember her doing that sometimes. But I can remember, like, it reminds me so much, if you've ever seen the movie version of To Kill a Mockingbird, which I think part of why I love that movie so much is that Scout, Jim, and Dill, like, hanging out in the summer reminds me so much of my childhood. Just, you know, just daring each other to do stuff and walking around the streets and talking to people. Like, that whole scene when Scout talks to Miss DeBose and Ms. DeBose says, don't say hi to me, young lady, you know, you say whatever. And then it's like that was kind of like how our neighborhood was growing up, and so that part always reminds me. And like at night when they're like going up on Boo Radley's like doorstep and like, you know, all that, it kind of reminds me of when I was a kid. And our neighborhood felt safe. Like, it felt so safe. And, you know, during the day, we played a lot of, like, sports, a lot of, like, baseball in the cul-de-sac. I mean, having a cul-de-sac was perfect for having a lot of kids on the street, which, like, almost every house, with the exception of, like, one or two, had kids. It was weird because I would say about, like, halfway down on the street, like, the last... 7. The last 7 houses that were like on the cul-de-sac and just up from the cul-de-sac, we all hung out together. The rest of the kids, they didn't really hang out with us. I remember one house had a lot of older kids because one of the girls babysat me. And I remember like the 2 families that lived on the very end of the street. One of them was all boys, and they all went to private schools, and they never interacted with us. And then the house across from them was like 3 families that moved in over the course of like 5 or 6 years, and they never interacted with us either. But they were the ones that sat like right on the corner of the street and like another street. But all of us like were close to the cul-de-sac. Like, we all grew up and hung out together, and our families were friends, and our parents were friends, and all this kind of stuff. And I just had this really weird memory that we had a block party at one point, and it must have been right after I got in trouble. I've told this story on here before, but there were several kids that we all like snuck beer and cigarettes, and there was a house they were building on the street. It was actually right next to our house, and we went in this house, and we were having like mud ball fights, and we all like were drinking this beer. I mean, we didn't get drunk, but we were just like sipping the beer, and we were smoking these cigarettes. I was the one that had brought the beer because it was my mom's beer. I brought like 2 cans and like 2 cigarettes, and we all got caught and got in trouble. And there was a period after that where I would like ride my bike down the street, and even those that were closest friends with me, they had kind of like sold me out. Not the girls. I was friends with 2 girls on my street. I think this might have been before. I think this was before the one girl right to my right, she moved in. Because they moved in. They were only there for like 3 or 4 years. But the girl across the street, she was... Our moms were friends like my mom's entire life. And so she didn't sell me out. But everybody else did. And so I would like ride my bike down the street, and they would say, smoker, drinker. And I just remember there was a period, and it was probably very short-lived now in retrospect, 3 weeks or something, that I just felt like the whole world was out to get me on the street. And I remember we had a block party during then, which I don't remember ever really having another block party. Maybe we did, I don't know. But I just felt, I can remember it being bizarre because it was like a pitch-in, and they had like set up tables on the street and stuff like that. And my mom was going to it, and I can remember her coming up and to my room and saying, you know, sweetie, why don't you come with me and we'll go, we'll have a fun time, you know, there's going to be food and whatever. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. And I can remember her being like, come on, you'll have a good time, you know. And I was like, no, I don't want to go. And she was like, well, I'm not going to force you to. And I remember she went. And I can remember seeing it because it was set up kind of like at the end of the cul-de-sac, like going towards the end of the street. And I could see like the tables, like from my mom's bedroom window. We had these crabapple trees we had a big, huge beech tree, and then we had crabapple trees in our yard. And I remember being able to look out and see like the edge of like the very last tree and people standing there. And I can remember just standing at that window from her bedroom and like watching it. I don't know why I remember that. It's so weird. And it's so weird, the things you remember from your childhood. So, but during the summer, that was like the only time, that incident, that there have been so many planes, you guys. That was like the only time that I didn't really get along with the kids on the street. Like, other than that, Everybody was always so nice. Nobody was ever, like, I was never bullied on the street. I mean, that was literally the only incident. And it was probably, I mean, in my memory, it's like 3 or 4 weeks. So it was probably at that time really just like a week as a kid that they said things, you know. I do remember this one thing that happened, though. I actually have the pictures because my mom has them in her scrapbook, which I think is kind of funny. But I played dress up a lot as a kid. Dressed up as all kinds of stuff. And I was probably 6 at the time. My parents had just gotten separated. So that was probably between like 5 and 6. And I can never remember the ages of when my parents got separated or where I was at that age and when they got divorced. But anyway, I was probably between 5 and 6. And this neighbor friend that my dad knew real well, his son and I were friends. And he was probably 2 years younger than me. So he was, would I have been, or was he just like a year younger? Maybe he was just a year younger than me, like 5 or something. I don't remember it happening. I just remember the pictures, seeing the pictures, and I can remember my mom telling me later because she just thought it was so ridiculous that the dad got so upset about this. But I will have to find the pictures and like blur him out of it because if you guys can see me in this picture, you will die. So it was like... I have like this blouse on, okay, that was like my mom's blouse from like, I don't know, like probably that time period, right? And it's like this white, like, you know, like, I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like lace, it was like cotton and it had like the holes in it. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like really pretty and it kind of flouncy blouse. But then there was like this long, like pinkish red, almost kind of like a denim material wraparound skirt, and I had it wrapped around, and I had this big, like, flouncy sun hat on, right? Like something that you would wear to the Hamptons or today, you know? And I'm standing there, and I have my hand on this tree, right? Like this. Like I'm just casually leaning against this tree, like, you know, come hither. And in my other hand is a twig, like from a tree, right? And I'm like leaning like on this tree. I'm like 5 or 6, probably 6, you guys. And I'm like leaning on this tree in this whole outfit, right? Barefoot, of course. And I'm like holding this twig out. Probably something I'd seen in some movie that my mom watched 9 million times because she was so into the dramaticals, you know. And this kid is standing next to me, and he's all dressed up too, and he's dressed in some sack dress, which we've bunched up because he's like, you know, at the time 3 feet tall, and so it's like way too long on him. So we've got it bunched up on him, and he's got this hat, like pulled down, like this barrel hat pulled down over his head, and he just has the saddest face in the entire world, which is kind of like he looks miserable in this picture, you know, kind of like my sour sister, like I'm all just like sultry, you know, and here he is, and he's just bitter as hell. And I loved to play dress up back in the day. I mean, I don't care what. It was Halloween costumes, dressing up, and all kinds of stuff. I dressed up all the time when I was growing up. And, I mean, we used to, my mom, anytime that she would throw out clothes, or anytime, like, she would go to, like, you know, garage sales or whatever, and she would buy clothes just for me to dress up in. We had big boxes of it. And when I tell you that my parents were so understanding and just welcome, I mean, they did not care. They could care less if I walked down the street at 5 years old in a wedding dress. They would not have cared. And I look back on that, and it's so funny because, like, I don't remember specifically, like, always wanting to just, like, I remember having this fascination with dressing up, whatever it was, you know, and playing characters. It was never just, like, a gender role thing for me. And I look back on that, and I think it was so much fun for me, and playing imagination. Like, I love to play imagination. I would always say that growing up. Like, kids, you know, people at school would say, like, what's your favorite thing to play? And I'd say imagination. And that would be, like, where I would just imagine things in my room. You know, like I was a spy, or I was a detective, or, you know, whatever. And I loved that. And I think that one of the reasons why I was able to love myself so much was because, and even when I didn't, okay, but I did have a core feeling of it inside, was because my parents never made me feel different. Even if the whole world made me feel different, there was always a safe place, a comforting, loving place at home, you know. It's interesting, I want to talk about this in a second because this is something that came up in marriage counseling this week. But anyway, so my mom thought it was hysterical, and she came out with a Polaroid camera and she took a picture. I think it was a Polaroid camera. I don't remember. But anyway, she took a picture. This dad apparently went crazy. Like, came down the street and was like hauling his son off by the arm and like, I can't believe you would allow this, and like going off on my mom and all this kind of stuff. My dad left, and I remember this like my mom would talk about this like years later, okay, when she would talk about like equality of like the genders and stuff like that. So my dad and this guy, who they knew each other, and we lived like, there was one house in between us, and they bought a snow, what do you call it, a snow, why can't I think of the word I'm looking for, where, you know, you put the snow where you, why can't I think of what that's called, shoot. Snowmobile's what you ride, but this was like a snow, shoot, I need to look it up because this is going to drive me crazy. I know you guys are like shouting it at the screen, but I've got to find it. Hold on a second. Machine. As I'm Googling it, I'll remember it. To get snowblower. See, I didn't even have to finish it all the way and I remembered it. Snowblower. So my dad and this dad, they bought a snowblower together. Okay. Well, this dad did not trust that my mom wouldn't like allow me to use it at age 8. I was never even allowed to mow the lawn, okay? Because my dad was like, having worked in the emergency room for so long, he was like, I see so many people that have lawnmower accidents because they mow the lawn barefoot or whatever, so you're not mowing the lawn. I was never allowed to mow the lawn. I think I've mowed the lawn like once or twice, and it's because my Uncle Dave taught me how to do it. And I actually really kind of enjoyed it. So they bought this lawnmower together, or snowblower together. Well, my parents separate, right? And my mom is like, we own half of that snowblower. And so this dad was so pissed that he kept it at his house and was like, when you want to use it, you can ask to use it. So my mom would hire boys in the neighborhood that were like 15, 16 years old to snowblow her driveway and her walkway. And he would refuse them. He would refuse to let her use it. And my mom would go nuts. And she would call my dad and she would say, you need to tell him that half of that snowblower is ours or he can buy it out. And my dad would never do it. And I swear to you, probably till the last couple years that my mom was alive, she would say stuff about that snowblower. She would still bring up the same way that I asked one time to borrow these scissors of my mom's, because she had like, you know, my mom, you know, you always have like a good pair of scissors. Like we have like 4 pairs of scissors, but like only one pair of them is like really good, you know, like sturdy scissors. My mom had this pair of like sewing scissors that were like they could like cut through any kind of material, fabric scissors. And oh my god, my nose is driving me crazy. And they were like really heavy duty. And so I asked if I could borrow one for our treehouse, because we were making curtains for our treehouse down ass. It was always a project, okay? We were always doing projects. So anyway, I took him out there and I left him overnight, and God knows where they are. They're probably still in those woods today. So I mean to tell you, like, okay, that was like when I was like, I don't know, 6 to 8 or something like that. Years later, I'd be in my 20s, right? And I'd say to my mom, can I do this or can I do that? And she'd say to me, or I'd be like, can I borrow this or can I borrow that? And you know what she would say to me? 20 years later, right? She'd say, well, I would, but you know, those like sewing scissors that I let you borrow that one time that you took out there into the woods. I was like, Mom. And then this one time when I was in high school, this is bad though, okay? I don't know what I was, but I wanted like $20 to like, you know, go party and whatever with my friends. And and this is the other thing, I never asked my mom for money because she was such a penny pincher. And so like, I knew like to ask my mom for money was like a big deal. So I never asked her for money typically. And I always asked my dad, but I never asked my mom. And so this one time, it was around, actually this is funny because it was right around this time, because it was like Father's Day. And I asked my mom, I said, can I borrow like $20 to go get Dad, like I want to write him a poem, and I want special paper to print the poem out on, like when I print it out. And then I also want like markers and stuff. And she was like, okay. And she gave me this $20. I'll never forget when I came home. She was like, you know, whenever she asked me next, she was like, where's the change from that? And I was like, there's no change. And she was like, because of course I had partied it away or whatever, right? And she was like, it probably went to like 4 bottles of Boone's Farm. And she was like, all of that cost $20. And I was, I mean, and mind you, this was probably the only $20 I'd ever borrowed from her in high school, right? I mean to tell you, like, I never told her, you know, well, I think maybe I did when I made amends to her, but it wasn't like I ever said to her, like, in those next coming years, it wasn't like I looked at her and said, look, I borrowed the $20 and went and bought wine with it. She would have been furious, okay? I think I did tell her when I made amends to her or something, or we had some conversation and I brought it up, because I remember us talking about it when we were older, but she would bring that up, like, oh my God, all the time. She would say, well, I mean, I would love to help you out, but that $20 I gave you for that writing paper for your dad's poem, did he ever get that poem? I don't remember. And she'd say, I don't remember getting a She was so sarcastic with that. Speaking of, since I started coughing, I want to tell you, I don't know if I talked about this today. So when I went to, because I vlogged earlier, when I went to my primary care physician today, we talked about the blood pressure, the lisinopril, medicine I take for my blood pressure, and we talked about my thyroid medication. He didn't really talk much about the thyroid medication. He explained hypothyroidism to me. He said, you know, like, the thyroid medication is not going to make you lose weight. He was like, I think people are under the belief that you get put on thyroid medication, your metabolism changes and you lose a bunch of weight. He's like, that's not it at all. He said changes that you might notice are like your skin might improve, and he was like, it kind of reduces like some of like the area in your gut and that kind of stuff. But he was like, you know, he said they actually diagnosed me with hypothyroidism, and I can't remember what else he called it, but whatever the other part of it is like where not my metabolism, but something else has slowed down. And so he said he wanted to keep on watching that, but he said everything looked fine. My blood pressure, he was like, your blood pressure is completely normal. He was like, I don't know if it was, you know, as a result of what was going on at that time, that when you were in the hospital, that they, you know, your blood pressure was off the charts, because it was off the charts in the hospital. He said, is there somebody out there? Do you hear these cars? Listen, the Indy 500 is over. But he said, your blood pressure is great. Like, he's like, it's fine. Oxygen levels are normal, heart rate is, everything's good. But he didn't want to take me off. Did I talk about this today already? He was like, I don't want to take you off the lisinopril yet. I want to, you know, keep you on it for a while. He was like, but, like, I'm going to encourage you, just like your neurologist did that. You need to keep on losing weight. And he was like, you know, he didn't really say how much, but he was like, I'm just going to encourage you to, you know, lose more weight. And he was like, I think we'll eventually be able to take you off the blood pressure medicine. Now, the lightheadedness that I have felt, like when I stand up too quickly and I feel lightheaded, I haven't felt that way. And it's been a good 2 weeks probably. But I did feel that way a lot at the beginning. And then my neurologist cut my dose in half. And now I think I'm on 5 milligrams of lisinopril. Yeah, I'm on 5 milligrams of lisinopril a day. I don't really feel it that much anymore. He said if I start feeling that way again, we can talk about cutting it in half again. But he said for a while he just wants to keep it at 5 milligrams. He said that I shouldn't be feeling it as much as I was feeling it before. But if I do, that's not a result of the blood pressure. It's a direct result of lisinopril. But he said to me that almost all blood pressure medicines make you do that. He said, so if I switched you to another blood pressure medicine, he goes, it wouldn't necessarily not make you lightheaded. And I said, so then I asked him about the dry cough because so many people had mentioned it, not only on this channel, but on other channels as well, that lisinopril as a side effect has this dry cough. And he said, that's absolutely 100% true. And he was like, are you having a dry cough as a result of it? And I said, yeah. I said, but my allergies are really bad right now, so I don't really know. And he goes, well, let's just watch it, you know. he was like, I don't want you suffering from a really bad dry cough if it's directly related to the lisinopril. And he goes, that is a direct result from lisinopril, not other medications. He said, so I can switch you if the dry cough continues. It's going to stop. Let me, hold on a second. It's almost at 30 minutes. Okay. He said, I can switch you from lisinopril to something else if the dry cough continues. He said, but let's just stay on the lisinopril for a while. And I was like, that's fine. So anyway, very encouraged by my appointment today. And I'm not going to see him again until like the middle of January, which is good. But that's just my primary care physician, my neurologist. So I have a CAT scan on Tuesday, which is Alex's birthday. He's going to take me the CAT scan, and then we're going to either go out to brunch or go to the pool. And that CAT scan will be like 10 minutes. And then I have a neurology appointment on next Thursday or Friday. I can't remember. My follow-up neurology appointment. And I'll know more then. So, my neurologist assistant called me today to just kind of follow up with some of the things that they had wanted me to do before this next appointment, which they had wanted me to do several things, and then they kind of pulled back, and she said, no, he wants to wait and see, you know, like how things are going this time with the CAT scan, and then depending on these results, he's going to go forward. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I misunderstood. So, let's stay hopeful that the fluid is going down. I haven't had any headaches at all. It's so bizarre. It's like, I don't know, like before I had, you know, the accident, it was like, I talked on here a lot about migraines and having headaches. I haven't had headaches at all. Like, I can't remember the last headache that I had where I had to take like Tylenol for it or a Aleve. I haven't had them at all. Like, I wake up every day and I feel pretty clear-headed, and so I don't know. Yeah. So that was my night and that was my day, and it's been a really good day. I kind of wanted to take a little bit of a walk tonight or get outside because it was cloudy, and so it wasn't as hot as it was yesterday. And I wanted to vlog tonight. I have a review video ready to go tomorrow, which I'm really excited. I had such a fun time doing this review video. So I have this review video ready to be posted tomorrow, and then I'm gonna have the vlog ready to be posted tomorrow as well. Hopefully I'll get it up tonight and it'll be done. And then, because I'll, you know, render it and then in iMovie, and then I'll upload it to YouTube, so it should be ready to go tomorrow afternoon. I realized with the vlog, I don't know why this is, but if I post it real early, like between 3 and 6, like a lot of people don't watch it. As many people don't watch it as usually if I post it between like 8 and 10, which is so interesting to me. Like sometimes if I post a vlog really late at night, like 12 o'clock, like it gets a lot of views on it. And so I don't know if it's because you guys aren't getting notified or you don't look till that time or whatever it is, but I'd be interested to know, because it's interesting to me, the earlier I post the vlog, the less views it gets. So anyway, I have this to post. So that's 2 videos, and then I do have a drama video all outlined in my phone. I just kind of want to take the day tomorrow and hang out with Caroline and go to the pool and stuff like that, and then I want to come home and like take a nap. My plan is to come home from the pool, and I think tomorrow is Caroline's wedding anniversary. Woo! So, happy anniversary to Caroline and Mike. And so she won't be able to stay super late. And is it tomorrow or is it Saturday? Maybe it's Saturday. So she won't be able to stay super late either way. I'm sure she has something to do. So Caroline has been on a week-long girls trip to Cape Cod. She just got home tonight. That's why I didn't do anything with Caroline earlier this week. And they like rented a house there, and I don't know anything about it. I haven't heard from it. When she texted me last, she was in the Boston airport. So I'm really excited to hear about the trip. And I texted her and I said, do you still want to do tomorrow? She had a showing, so Caroline's a realtor. She had a showing, and she was like, yeah. And she was like, I had a showing, but it canceled. She was like, so what are you wanting to do? And I said, do you want to go to the pool? Because we had talked about going to the pool because it was supposed to be nice tomorrow. It's supposed to be like high of 88. I should look and see if it's still going to be that. And she said, yeah, I would love to go to the pool. So I said, okay. So she's going to pick me up at 11:30. Let's see. Which is probably late for her, but for me it's... Oh, now it's supposed to be partly cloudy. Some clouds in the morning will give way to mainly sunny skies for the afternoon. High 89. Saturday, mainly sunny. We have our friend Aaron and Eric. They're Aaron's daughter, Maddie, who has been in videos with me back in the day on BookTube. It is her graduation open house we're going to on Saturday, and then we're supposed to go over to a friend's house for dinner. I told Alex that might be a lot for me. I don't know that I'm going to do that. So anyway, tomorrow after we go to the pool, my plan is to come home, take little Boo Radley out, let him run around in the yard for a while, and then film a drama video really quick, upload, because I already know what I'm doing it on and everything. I got it all outlined in my phone, or not outlined, but I'm not that organized, but I got it all. Listen to all these cars tonight. Can you believe that? I've got it all, like all the notes for what I want to say and all this kind of stuff and all the screenshots. I've got that all up in my phone. So really all I have to do is sit down and make the video. Y'all know with me, it's just one shot, right? You set the camera up, you set record, and there you go. So that'll take me like an hour if I get home at like 3 or 4, get that up, 5 o'clock. I actually bought a sandwich today, a hummus wrap, veggie hummus wrap from Trader Joe's, and I didn't eat it. So that's sitting in there. Alex is going to work tomorrow till about 2 o'clock, and then he's going to his friend's house. She was texting me all night, asking me all kinds of things. Alex's favorite this, Alex's favorite that. So they're having kind of a joint birthday party for like 2 of them, I think, or 3 of them. And then it's a bunch of girls that used to all work together, plus Alex. They worked together for like 13 years, and they're all going out on her boat. She lives on a lake, and she lives on the lake that my dad lives on. And so they're all going to go on the boat tomorrow night, and then they're going to, or tomorrow, and then they're going to come back and have dinner and stuff like that. And so I don't know. He'll probably be over there for a while, I'm sure. And so yeah, so I'm going to eat my hummus sandwich after I film my drama video, after I finish my drama video and it's uploading, and then I'm going to, I don't know, watch Game Show Network and take a nap. Let me just tell you, I told Alex this tonight, and I told Tanya this last night too. Y'all, I don't know what it is about these pure white sheets and comforter, this whole white bedding for summer, but it makes a world of difference. I swear to you, it makes a world of difference. If you live somewhere that's warm, you don't want to spend a lot of money, you don't have to. Thrift stores, you can go buy this stuff and just bleach the hell out of it or something. You know, like, but I got it on Amazon, and it was expensive because it wasn't expensive, but it was still, I mean, it was some money. But I could have gone to Kohl's or, you know, in any of these places, JCPenney's, and just got like some basic comforter. And it's not like a down comforter, it's just a white comforter, right? That comes with all this stuff. It makes such a difference. It is so nice, you guys, to just... Actually, my friend Valerie was telling me about this one that she watches on TikTok that's always giving these, like, suggestions for things to buy. Although this was funny because she was telling me that, like, she's a decorator for her house, and, like, she only buys high-end things for her house. But she had suggested these sheets from Walmart that are, like, the best sheets in the entire world. You guys... I trimmed my beard, and I cleaned my nose hairs, and my nose is driving me crazy. Anyway, so Valerie bought these sheets, and she swears by them, and they're like $9 or $10 or something. I got them on Walmart, and they were sold out, probably because this woman had, like, talked about them on Walmart. But you know what I just remembered is I purchased this cup online from Walmart, and it never came. I'm going to have to look into that. It was just a plastic cup for like $10. It's like one of those crystallized plastic cups that I like, but it never came. It was going to be for my coffee out here. I like the Amazon ones anyway, better that I bought. But, yeah, like even just, I was going to say Walmart, because I'm in my head like looking in the sheet department at Walmart. You know, my grandma back in the day, I remember asking my mom when my grandma died, like, she was like, what do you want? I was like, I want grandma's sheets. because my grandma had the softest sheets in the entire world, and they were like these white sheets that had little pink flowers on them. I still have one of her pillowcases to this day. My grandma had twin beds. I don't know why. She had 2 twin beds. I'm not going to make a joke about prison, but she had 2 twin beds in her bedroom, right? Like, so I always remember growing up as a kid, like when Caroline and I would stay over there, like grandma would sleep in one bed. Oh, she snored like a freight train because she smoked so much. And then in the other bed, Caroline and I would sleep like side by side. Can you imagine little Caroline and I sleep? She always wore pigtails. Caroline always had pigtails. Caroline and I would sleep side by side in this little twin bed. But I remember these sheets. Another plane. You can see it. There it is. So anyway, my grandma would have these sheets, these pink sheets that were so soft, right? And they were called Wondercale. Do you guys remember it? Like Percale, Percale. You can still buy it today. And but I bought a pair of Percale sheets, and they weren't the same. And like Wondercale is supposed to be like Percale, like on blast, right? But I don't know if it's some kind of like cotton or whatever. It's like a fad that happened back in the day. I think the sheets were so soft, in all honesty, because my grandma, like, she washed the hell out of these sheets. I mean, she probably just used them over and over and over again and washed them so much. That's why they were so soft. But they were like almost like silk satiny without being silky satin. Does that make sense? I remember back in the day, I wanted. This is so corny. This was probably early high school, but I had a waterbed. Okay, Caroline, my cousin, she also had a waterbed. But she had that waterbed that's like 20 or 30% water. So it was like a mattress, but it also had water in it. So it was like when you sat down on it, it wasn't like... Okay, I had a full waterbed from Waterbed Warehouse. Full Wave, it was called. Do you remember those? It was literally like you slept on a balloon. And I always like... And it had like the wood panel around it. And I always ended up sleeping like in between the wood panel and the mattress because it just would push you to the side. And my mattress was always like too full. Oh my God, I can't believe I had a waterbed. It was at my dad's house. Not at my mom's house. I just had a regular mattress. I'd actually had bunk beds at my mom's house for like my entire life there. And liked it and liked having bunk beds. So it's so funny because I can remember having that waterbed. And at one point, this was only for a short period, I think, but I wanted like silk sheets. I saw some movie and there were like... I don't even know what movie it was, but there were like, they had white silk sheets on their bed. It was probably Body Double or something. There's another plane. So I got white silk sheets for this waterbed. Oh my God, I was such a mess on this waterbed, just falling from side to side. I also kept these, do you guys know those New York seltzer bottles? Oh, I think I just drank one on here not too long ago. I got one at Fresh Time, remember that? I used to keep those because I would get those as a kid not as a kid, but like when I was in like high school, junior high. I used to like go down to my dad's liquor cabinet and fill those up with liquor, and then I would hide them in the corners of my waterbed because you couldn't see by looking at it, right? And nobody would look there. And then I would have liquor in my room. I used to call it the 4 corners of the earth. It's so bad, isn't it? So anyway... So funny when I think back on all of that. Not funny, haha, just kind of funny, sad, you know. It's funny when I look at like the entirety of my childhood, you know. I think it's interesting when people say things like my childhood was horrible. And you're talking about your childhood from like the time that you're born to the time that you leave home, right? Or they say like I had a good childhood. Or whatever. I've said it too, I'm sure, you know, and made these vast generalizations about your childhood. Just like Caroline and I have said before, you know, like there was a lot of drinking in our family, but we had magical childhoods. We'll say that. You know, we had really good childhoods. Well, we did. But there were moments that were really horrific too. You know, like as I say that, it's like I'm having flashes in my head of really horrific, traumatic moments in my childhood. you know, things that I have only ever shared with my sponsor and therapists. That, you know, it's like, and then I had such, I was going to say it, you know, just really some horrible moments. And then there's been a lot of things on here that were traumatic that I've talked about, or a lot of things that happened that I've talked about on here as well. Then there were some really fantastic things and some really beautiful things, you know? And, you know, when I talk about, like, the neighborhood and, you know, it's like the block party incident or us getting caught, you know, smoking and cigarettes and drinking beer. Like, that was one day. The majority of my time in the neighborhood was a blissful childhood existence, you know, of what you would want for your kid to have. Playing fort in the woods and baseball in the street and having close friends that you tell your secrets to and walk up and down the street and eat at each other's houses. And but then there were moments too, like I was talking today in my drama video about, like, roller skating in my driveway and not having any friends whatsoever and playing the radio and roller skating to Donna Summer. And then there were moments where, like, my friend across the street, when, you know, she moved in, that I would roller skate with her in the basement during a blizzard, you know? And so it's, even childhood is not all just one-sided. You know, it's multifaceted, I think. And I think I'm a combination today of all of those things that I went through. The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it, you know? The weekends that I spent with my dad in Saugatuck, Michigan because he had a boat, or, you know, I mean, I think back on, like, my dad dating and stuff, you know, and, like, my dad was kind of that guy, like, the single doctor, you know, in his late 30s that, you know, drove a Porsche and was a lot of fun, and so he was a lot of fun, you know, like, I can just, you know, he had a lot of barbecues and things like that at his house, and well, that was after, you know, that was when my stepmom and him were living there, but a lot of people will come over, and, you know, I just remember a lot of really good times, you know. My dad's house in the summer was always a blast, you know, with the pool and being on the lake. And when I was in high school with my friends coming over there, or before that, when, like, my dad, you know, like, his friends would come over there, or my stepmom's friends, you know, his house was always fun in the summer. All the vacations I took that were fantastic, you know, and there were moments in there that weren't great, but majority-wise, you know, it was really pretty good. School, even I was so horrifically bullied, and I hated being there, and I didn't feel like I fit in, and I never found my crowd until I was in later high school. But, like, I loved reading. I found my love and my passion of reading by, you know, books and going to the library with my mom, and then later in school, like, I can remember, like, elementary school, like, going there and picking out, like, a book a week. I can remember that, like, vividly, you know. I was just telling this woman here the other day, I was asking her, she was, like, a retired school teacher, and I said, what grade did you teach? And she said 4th, and I said, what an important year. And she said, why do you say that? And I said, I can remember my 4th grade teacher reading me Help, I'm a Prisoner in the Library by F. Clifford, and it has been one of my favorite books ever since. And, you know, like, I remember my 3rd grade teacher. I remember my, you know, 6th grade teacher. He was fantastic, you know. And there were moments of school that were really good. I loved the Valentine's Day parties and the Christmas parties and, you know, all of that. And so there were good moments. It's not all bad. I don't want to look back on moments of my life. And, you know, I think it's important to talk about the bullying, and it's important about talking about the not fitting in and all of that. It's important about, in anybody's life, talking about traumatic events and processing them. But I don't want to only remember that. I don't want to make a sweeping generalization about my childhood and say, yeah, like, I came from a really sad childhood. Like, I don't, because that's not the case. There was a lot of good that happened, you know, and, you know, with my mom, it's like, I'm not excusing her being an active alcoholic while she was raising me, but she did her best. And there were a lot of really good moments. There was Little House on the Prairie and us playing Laverne and Shirley as I was brushing my teeth at night, and her tucking me into bed every night. She tucked me into bed every night, you know. I would say almost, there were those nights, like I said, when she was drinking heavily and whatnot, that she didn't. But the majority of the night, she tucked me into bed, and, you know, the drinking for her was really mostly when she was alone in the house because she was scared. There were moments when she drank a lot around me, but they weren't as great as the moments where she didn't. And, who is texting me so late? Alex is texting me something. Okay, I ended up calling him and that went on way too long, so I'm just gonna, he's not asleep yet, so we were talking about what he was sending me. But anyway, yeah, like, I don't want to, well, I was talking about my mom's drinking and stuff like that. Like, you know, there were the moments that, and I think because there were times that were so scary to me, not even necessarily when I was there, but when I wasn't there, you know, and I would call her and I could tell how inebriated she would be, and, you know, she would apologize for it the next day and things like that. But that I was scared for my mom, you know, and I think sometimes being a kid, when you have a parent that's an alcoholic addict, it's just as bad to be scared for them than being scared in the situation that you're in. I don't really actually ever remember. I remember there was one time, she never forgot this, she felt so guilty about this her whole life, that I was at a friend's house. This was like in 6th grade, and I'd stayed there late and played games or whatever, and I came home and she was like, had passed out in bed. And like, I rang the doorbell and rang the doorbell and rang the doorbell, and she just didn't ring the doorbell. And we had this key hidden in the, like, somewhere in the backyard. And I couldn't see back there because we used to have these floodlights and they weren't on. And so I finally, she either let me in or I found this key or something, but I got inside the house and I remember I was so mad. I like kicked a hole in the wall and like my shoes stuck in the wall and stuff. She felt so horribly guilty about that her whole life. She would bring it up, you know. And she, you know, it's just interesting when I look back on that. But I think the other thing is that my mom got sober. And, you know, when parents, like, talk to me about wanting to get sober for their kids, I'm like, I think that's great. I think, you know, that can be the initial thing that wants to get you sober, but you got to stay sober for you, you know, and for your kids, but, like, you got to stay sober for you, you know, ultimately, I think. Or at some point, you're going to make excuses for why that doesn't matter. And, so I think had my mom not gotten sober, my story would be different today. I think because my mom got sober and we were able to have 12 years and 11 months of sobriety together, where that was the language that we spoke, that was our love language, so to speak, that we spoke, and where I was going to talk about the whole thing with marriage counseling, something that came up that was kind of like this revelation from like my youth, or like being in high school, college. That is such a long conversation. I'll bring it up at some other time. But anyway, I think like, because I've had friends of mine that have said to me, you know, like my mom or my dad died and they never got sober, and neither did I before they died, and I still have so much anger and animosity about our relationship, or I never got to make amends, or they never made amends, or I never got to hear anything from them or whatever. And so I think the fact that my mom got sober and I got sober and we rectified that relationship and made amends to each other and were able to talk that out and whatnot, you know, I think it's funny because my mom for a long time didn't make amends to me, and I said to her one time, you know, you've never made amends to me. She's like, yes, I have. And I was like, no, you haven't. I would remember that. And so then, you know, but us being able to rectify that situation and have this relationship based in recovery, it's pretty amazing, you know? And I think that that's why I'm able to look at the relationship differently, not excuse it away, right? But to see that at that time she was a sick person. You know, there's a prayer for the sick man. If you've never read it before and you're somebody that believes in prayer and you have people that are suffering in your life, look up the prayer for the sick man. It's super powerful. My sponsor introduced me to it, and it's really helped me with people that are still in active addiction, right? And she said to me at the time, she was like, you know, you were able to look at your mom and say later that, you know, she was in active addiction at this time, and, you know, and let that be her getting healthy. Why can't you do the same thing, you know, today? And I was like, gosh, she's so right. And so I started saying this prayer for the sick person. This is a lot to do with my friends that went back out and things like that. Somebody asked in my video the other day, they said, why does a person with 20 plus years go back out? I have no idea. I wish I knew. I wish I knew, and I'll tell you why. And it's not because I can save them, because I can't. Because they're the ones that have to feel their own pain and do the work. I wish I knew, because I would make sure to not do the things that lead you to going back out there. And all I know to do is to stay in meetings. For me, have a sponsor that I work with regularly, read the basic text, you know, do inventory, be of service to others. Those are the things that I see that work for other people. When you get away from that, I think it's scary. So anyway, my mom did her best. And there were moments, I mean, I look sometimes at my childhood and I think, you know, I was talking about this today. I mean, this is such a small thing, but two things. I was talking about my mom using food coloring. I was talking about this in my drama video, that she used to use food coloring for everything. I mean, like bath time was always so much fun. She put pots and pans in the bathtub, and I'd bang on them and spill water. You know, I'd mix colors, and that's how she taught me how to, like, you know, secondary and primary colors was with food coloring. You know, we did all kinds of stuff with food coloring. It was so fun. I used to always be in the kitchen. You know, she always let me play in the sink and stuff like that when I was a kid. And I can remember that. She'd like do like food coloring ice cubes. This is actually a good trick if you have little kids. She'd like color each like ice cube, like, you know, old ice cube kind of container. If you just get one at like thrift store if you want, they're like $1 or something today, or Amazon or whatever. But anyway, she'd get them, and then she'd drop like a different food color in each one, and then she'd throw them in the bathtub. And so I'd be playing with these ice cubes that are all different colors, and it was like free fun, right? My mom was always coming up with ways that were like cheap to entertain me when I was a kid. The library, I think, was, you know, one of those things that she did. And one of the things that I always notice, like when I go to the pool, is there's a lot of parents that don't ever get in the pool with their kids. My mom always got in the pool with me. She always played. We always played games. You know, she was just as much in the pool as I was. And I love when I see parents or grandparents in the pool with their kids, because it just is so meaningful. You know, I think, like, I don't know, I just think it's a cool thing. So like I said, I don't want to look at my whole childhood and think, God, it was all, you know, the bad memory, because it wasn't. And all of it, the good, the bad, the indifferent, all of it made me who I am today, you know? So anyway, well, with that, I'm going to get off here now, and I'm going to go start uploading this. And let's see. I'm going to sneeze. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, I was like, do sneezes come in threes tonight? Because, you know, they say that sneezes come in threes. Okay, if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Friday and the beginning to your weekend. And remember these three very important things. Number one, you can start your day over whenever you want. Number two, practice random acts of kindness. And number three, most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. And I love you guys so much. And I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya!